Welcome back to On Texas Football. I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers, joined by the estimable Jerry Hamilton himself. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll talk a lot about, of course, the Texas old biblical style butt whipping they put on Sam Houston State, and looking ahead to the bye week, but also to Longhorns' big matchup on the road versus Florida in Gainesville. We'll talk a lot about what we saw in the Sam Houston State matchup. Also, there's some recruiting talk. I know Jerry wants to get to that, so we'll get into that coming up a little bit later on. And your questions, comments. The show belongs to you. It is a show of the people, for the people, and by the people. So the people, all right, you yourself, throw out any questions, comments that you want. We'll try to address as many of them as we can. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, so you can interrupt the show at any time. All right, Jerry, let's get right to it before we start diving into some recruiting news, notes, and nuggets, and dive into some of the other headlines from the Texas Sam Houston State matchup. Let's not bury the lead. Arch Manning with, just a fantastic, extraordinary performance. Yes, considering the opponent, but what were your favorite takeaways or biggest takeaways from Arch's performance versus Sam Houston State?
Well, it's just we talked about the confidence and the swagger, the moxie, because he does really possess the swagger and the moxie that you need and that can lead a team. It's similar to Garrett Nussmeier with a little bit more boisterousness, I would say. Arch, and this is a compliment, man. It's a good thing if anybody's ever played team sports. But we talked how imperative it was to have success in those first two drives.
You said it. Biggest issue.
You need you know what? Was every pass perfect? No, it didn't have to be perfect. He just needed to see the ball go through the hoop. He just needed to see a putt drop, a drive hit the fairway, man, right out of the gate. And it did. And the team needed to see that happen too. The team needed to see themselves mount a drive and go score. The defense needed to see that. The coaching staff needed to see that. Not everybody was like, oh, this is great. Everything's going to be okay. No, it wasn't like that. They're like, okay, we got some stuff that needs to happen positively here. And it did. And then after you make a couple of free throws, a couple of layups, right? Then he started ripping balls down the field, Rod. And the confidence came back. Now, I want to be real clear on something. Sam Houston State had borderline FCS talent. They may be a 1-11, 2-10 team. They aren't good.
Nope.
But put that over here, because this was just about building confidence back and getting swagger back and building belief back and allowing a team to exhale that was clearly feeling the pressure. Clearly feeling the pressure. And by the way, Arch gets all the mention, and that's going to happen. We've talked about this, Arch Manning. It's going to be this type of coverage for him his entire career at Texas the next 2 years. Colin Simmons getting the sack the first play of the game, Rod. He didn't play many snaps.
Yes.
He didn't play many snaps. He wasn't going to play many snaps, but he got a sack the first play. So both of your guys.
Your preseason most hyped up players.
Yep. And Colin wasn't going to play a lot of snaps against Sam Houston because they're just not good. But I thought it went about as well as it could have to get the confidence of Arch back, to get the team's belief. Like, they believed in him, but you still need to see the guy have success on the field. Yep. That all worked really well for Texas. The other thing, before I get to your thoughts, Rob, because I'm really interested to hear your thoughts, is 21 or 22 true freshmen played in that game. That is really big when you have a big recruiting weekend, which we'll get to later in the show.
Yeah, you got a number one recruiting class. And remember, this 3-game stretch of post-Ohio State before you got to SEC play before the bye week was supposed to be about the young players.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be about, I can't wait that 3-game stretch to see which one of those youngsters in that freshman class and some of these guys who haven't necessarily proven themselves yet, to see them get some playing time. And because the offense, most notably the passing game, was struggling so much versus San Jose State and UTEP, we didn't get to see as much of those younger guys as we thought. This was the game. Arch and the offense, they were on point, and you got a chance to see those young guys early and often in this matchup. So we'll talk about that coming up. But this is my thoughts on Arch. And I know everybody's kind of went through, his stat line and what he did, and we can talk about the specifics of it. But this, I know the most discussed, I guess, play or discussed area of his game actually was when he scored the touchdown and started kind of mouthing off to the Sam Houston State defender. Apparently now people are mocking that nationally. Like I don't know if it's come up on your time.
He's damned if he does, damned if he does. He cannot win. He will not be able to win with the media, Rod. It's going to be impossible.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Like, it's like, man, he's showing passion, he's showing emotion, he's showing joy. You can't play this game without passion, guys. Trust me. Now, for a quarterback, it may be a little bit different, but for me to have to run into another human being full speed, I gotta really hype myself up for it. So you gotta play the game with passion. And this is one thing I'll say about Arch. There you go. So this is the photo and the moment that's really going viral. People are like, oh, you're really doing that against Sam Houston State. This is what I think is going on with Arch. I'm just telling you from a player perspective. I think he's trying to figure out his on-field persona compared to his off-field persona. Now, for most players, that doesn't matter as much. But for a guy that has more endorsements than anybody else in college football, probably does more interviews than anybody else in college football too, right? Your on-field persona and your off-field persona, how closely linked are they, right? Like I always says about Ric Flair. Ric Flair always said, I had to live it. That's the only way people would think it was authentic. I had to live it. All right. And so Ric Flair lived the life of the Ric Flair, even though that wasn't the real Ric Flair. He lived that life. All right. Arch ain't hard to find man. Exactly. So what I've heard about Arch is he talks a lot of trash in practice. He's got a lot of swagger. There's borderline cocky.
He had it in high school. I saw it at Isidore Newman.
Exactly. Borderline cocky and arrogant. Yeah. Catch me outside. How about that? Yeah, Josie, I feel that. Well, if that's the Arch in practice, that is the Arch that is building the trust and camaraderie with his teammates by the way he challenges them in practice, talking a little bit of trash and makes sure he brings the juice and the energy to practice when they need it. If he's that guy that got that kind of swagger and that kind of arrogance, I got to see it in the game, guys. Yes. He can't be that guy in practice and then be very humble and, you know what I mean, that guy, very contrite guy in the games. No. I need him to be the same guy he is in practice, which, what do we hear? They talk more trash than anybody else, and it started by Arch. They got a ton of swagger, and that's because it trickles down from Arch. Well, when you get to the game, by the way, last year in the 2 starts, we saw it. We saw Arch with the swagger. Talk trash with a lot of swag. If he's going to be the talk trash with a lot of swag guy, think about Diego Pavia. We talk about him all the time. He's probably closer to being the same guy off the field as he is on the field. And I'm not saying that one way is more effective than the other, but he's got to figure out, all right, am I going to be this guy? Yeah, I stand on business, cuz. Am I going to be that guy even in SEC play all the time? All right, or do I have to flip a switch and become a different guy on the field than I am off the field? And that's fine, because by the way, I was a different guy. Black Caesar on the field, Rod Babers off the field. Simple. All right. The guy that Marie and Henry raised off the field, raised by Pimp C and Tupac on the field. It's all right. All right. It was a different persona. And most people tell you, like, yo, Robbie, y'all remember me dancing on the field? I would never dance in front of 50 to 70, 80,000 people, but I would dance pregame on the field, all right, before the games. But that was Black Caesar. That wasn't Rod B. It was a difference. Yeah. You have to flip the switch. So my point is for Arch, I think he's trying to figure out who that is. He even said, yeah, it was probably a little bit too much. My mom got mad at me, but you got to figure out who you are. Don't worry about everybody else, Arch. Figure out who you want to be on the field. And that's what I think they need to see more of the Arch we saw, because that's the Arch they see in practice. That's the Arch they believe in. That's the Arch that gets the entire team hyped and behind him. So that's what stood out to me. That moment he had with Sark, the moment he had with this young man here, and all the different moments he had in the game where he was hyped and he was feeling joy and it was unabashed and it was unfiltered. I think he's got to have more of that. And even Sark said in the postgame, we need to see more of that Arch. That Arch is the Arch that is able to inspire teammates. So that's kind of my challenge to Arch, man. Figure out who you and what's his name going to be? What's his nickname? I was Black Caesar off the field. On the field? What's his nickname for his persona? Because there's a different Arch. Even when we see in the post-game interviews and we see in the media sessions during the week, different Arch than we see on the field. The one that's celebrating, the one that's talking trash, the one that is, hype, pushing his head coach. I like both of them, by the way, but there's one that can inspire a team, and that's the one they need more of.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I'll say this, and I'll add to what you said, Rod, is, if you haven't seen it, and here's my thing, just be yourself. To all these guys, be yourself. Now, if you're brash yourself, you have to back it up on the court or on the field. if you've never watched, because this was a guy, the first college athlete that I ever noticed that was kind of, a lot of people hated him and a lot of people loved him. Go, if you haven't ever watched it, if in 20 years, you know when things would have gone really well for Arch Manning in college? If they make a 30 for 30 that was, I hate Arch Manning, like they did Christian Laettner. Because he was brash. He was himself, and some people didn't like it. But he was true to himself. But now he won. He went to 4 Final Fours and won 2 national titles and was 10 of 10 and 10 of 10 against Kentucky. 10 of 10 from the field, 10 of 10 from the line, hit the greatest shot in college basketball history. So he had a lot of history of massive moments with him that Texas fans hope Arch has in the next couple of years. But, you know, that's what I would say. When you watch the I hate Christian Laettner thing, you know what? The guy was true to himself. Some people liked it. Some people didn't like it. Jalen Rose had one of the greatest lines. He said, I'm not going to like you. Doesn't mean I respect you, but it doesn't mean I have to like you. And that's, you know what? That's a great competitor, right?
Yep.
You're not gonna, competitor on competitor. You can respect the guy, but it doesn't mean you have to like him. So the thing I say is just go be yourself, whatever that is. If Arch is not true to himself, who he is, then he's already somewhat failing in a way, because he's not going to be true to who he is. And I find it'll be very tough if you're not true to who you are to go out and be the player you can be. That's just my opinion. I'm sure some guys have pulled it off a little bit before, but you know what? And I'm not comparing him as an athlete. Why did people love Tiger Woods? It was the reactions as much as the winning. It was, man, you knew where that guy was coming from on a golf course. You know, the way his reactions to things, it was real. It wasn't BS. You know, be true to who you are. Any of those guys out there, athletes, just be true to who you are. Now you got to go win. You got to back it up. But look, Miami Hurricanes were brash. They backed it up.
Come on now. Yeah, exactly.
Right? If you're going to be brash, you got to back it up, but just be true to yourself. By the way, I got to bring some receipts on something. I love all our guys. Katie, I am the best, said OU beat FCS, Iowa State beat Illinois State 35-3, and everyone says they're the best in the country. Not here. We have receipts on this show. Go back and watch the shows. I actually got on Oklahoma fans saying Iowa put up as many yards on Illinois State the year before as Oklahoma did. So no, we didn't say that exactly.
Yeah.
Go watch those past shows. You'll see it.
Oklahoma's interesting. I think Oklahoma is now. They're very beatable, but there's no doubt that the defensive front for Oklahoma is legit. Secondary is questionable. I think you can honestly, if Jackson Arnold had been able to make some plays and get the ball out, those receivers found separation down the field. Now, those are two NFL receivers Auburn got, but they found separation down the field. But that front seven of Oklahoma's is legit. It's the real deal. And they got a playmaker. So they got a front seven that's the real deal, one of the best in the SEC, and they got a playmaker at quarterback. Is he consistent elite passer from the pocket? Not necessarily. But he can make plays with his legs. He can keep plays alive, extend plays, and he's one of the best improv players and one of the best call him a chaos. Like he's basically comfortable in chaos.
Yes.
He's one of the best agents of chaos that I think you've seen in college football. But they're beatable. Oklahoma's beatable. There's no doubt about it. They're way better than any of you thought or any of us thought they would. I think that's what we can agree on.
One thing that somebody said up in here, let me find it. Not a felon said, let's face it, Auburn is not that good. They are really good on defense.
Their defensive front, their defensive line is
good. They're not really good on defense. Their secondary gave up 420 to Baylor. And I said that's something Oklahoma fans should watch for if you struggled throwing the ball against Auburn. But Auburn's defensive line is really, really good.
And
they got multiple NFL guys. Cam Coleman's a stud. He's a first rounder.
Yeah. No, that was a good test for Oklahoma. But Oklahoma still they don't look unbeatable. Don't let anybody fool you. They look very beatable.
I haven't seen maybe and this is one of my soapboxes. I think we're done with truly great teams or dynastic runs in college football because of the portal, 30-year rosters turning over every year at these power programs. It's going to be hard, 12 not going to 16-team playoff in the future. I'm not sure there's a great team out there. I think you could sit there and say, if you watch Florida Miami, well, Miami's beatable. Well, I'm not sure anybody ever said Miami wasn't beatable, right? We'll see. Is there a team out there that's unbeatable? Well, Ohio State's beatable because Texas played on offense and almost got it done in Columbus. So I'm not sure there is the unbeatable team out there in college football. I think there's parity with a group of really good teams at the top. And I mean, we're going to look at the rankings in a second. The rankings this week totally baffled me on a couple of things, and we'll get into that in a second. It just baffled me.
Yeah, I want to get into the rankings here in just a second. Let's hit a couple of super chats. Then we'll dive into some of the rankings and some of the other questions that you guys have. But first, Juan's up. Thank you, Juan, for the super chat. We really appreciate it. Says Jerry Hamilton, 2 things. How you think the Oklahoma offense matches up against the Texas D? Seems 2023 when Dylan Gabriel ran all over them. Will John Mateer do this? Kurt Signetti to Florida. Also, it's on the second part of this question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the second part is I think you'll hear Lane Kiffin more and more. I think some of the top dogs like the idea of Lane Kiffin at Florida.
Yeah.
I think Florida would make a heck of a hire. I know Kurt Signetti, he may not win the press conference, but he wins the coaching. I mean, and that's one of the things I want to get into with the rankings. I can't believe Illinois is still ranked in the top 25 after losing by 53 points Saturday. That's a joke. But the first part, Rod, look, I think Oklahoma's offensive line is not their strength. I think the run game with the running backs, Torrey Blaylock's got speed, the freshman from Atascocita. Saw him in high school against Dickinson. But where's Jaden Ott? Where is he going to be come October 11th? Deion Burke's really good player. I think outside of him, you could say if people are saying, well, what's Texas got at wide receiver? Outside of Deion Burks, what is Oklahoma? I don't think Mateer is a really accurate quarterback, by the way. And I think some of that showed up Saturday. The biggest thing for me, Rod, is with John Mateer is how do you collapse the pocket against him is my thing. I think your lane integrity while getting pressure is truly the key against Oklahoma. Because if you don't have lane integrity, he has running back vision at the quarterback position. He's going to make you pay.
Yep.
So how you successfully rush the passer while having lane integrity, I think is the key to slowing down the Oklahoma offense.
No, it's almost like when you're dealing with a really elite mobile quarterback dual threat, you want him in the pocket. At least you know where he is. And it makes him a little bit more predictable in terms of how the play is going to develop and materialize. If they're outside the pocket, all bets are off. Dude could scramble drill. There's no telling what he's going to extend the play. There's no telling what's going to happen. He's in the pocket. At least we know exactly where he is. So it's almost like you keep him in the pocket, pass rush lanes.
Yes.
You collapse it slowly on top of it.
Yes.
And if he wants out of it, he's got to back out of it. He's got to.
You want him backing out. You want him backing out and pulling the rhythm of the passing game off.
Yes, he's got to back out of it and then reset. If he's doing that, okay, you want to throw it from 12, 15 yards back, fine with us. But I'm with you. You're right on that, Jerry, because he's slippery, man. And I tell you, he might be the best improv QB in college football right now.
You want to get interior push, and you want your edges to play with contain.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah.
To your point, and then he's got to back out.
He's got to back out of it. Yeah.
That's 100%. That's what you want with John Mateer.
No, it's good stuff there. Good stuff, Jerry. Thank you, Juan, for that super chat, man. Good question. Juan's a ball knower, man. So Juan's already on. He's thinking down the line. He's already passed up Florida. He's like, we're going to beat Florida. But speaking of, let's get to how about this one? Because I know you want to talk about the rankings a little bit, Jerry. And this question leads us right into it. Thank you, Scott, for the super chat. So a drop in the rankings on the bye week might be a blessing in disguise. Thank you, Scott, for the super chat.
Well, they only dropped in one. I'm not sure I've ever seen this big of a difference in the coaches poll and an AP poll. Miami is 2 in AP, 6 in coaches.
That's crazy.
Like Texas, 7 in coaches, 10 in AP, right? And if you scroll down this, how in the actual hell is Indiana 11 and Illinois 23. They beat them 63-10.
Yeah, that's wild.
So one of two things you're off on this poll makers. Either Indiana should, if you're going to keep Illinois at 23, Indiana needs to be the number 2 team in America. If they beat the number 23 team in America by 53 freaking points, then they need to be ranked in the top 3. So that the poll's just whack. It's totally whack on that. That ranking right there makes it whack to me. Because I'm like, they literally beat them by 53 points. The quarterback had 2 freaking incompletions. And he's really good, by the way. But it's like, how's Illinois ranked? And 2, if you're going to keep him in there, how's Indiana only 11? They won a game by 50 freaking points.
I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if we should be disrespecting Illinois or if we should be praising Indiana. I'm with you. I think I feel better. Like Indiana should get a bump because of that.
I mean, golly, if that's what the 11 ranked team looks like, then everybody above them's got some issues.
But also, what is Notre Dame? Why did Notre Dame love? So what's up with the Notre Dame love? It's just because it's Notre Dame?
They lost because Miami's ranked top 5 and A&M's now ranked top 10. So they lost the 2 top 10s.
They got the 2 sexiest losses on.
2 sexiest losses. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
They don't play anybody for the rest of the season. So they actually did Notre Dame a hell of a favor. Because they don't play, they don't have any. I got to go look at their schedule. They don't have many ranked opponents left on their schedule.
No, Notre Dame could start 0-2 and make the playoffs. It's not out of the question. I mean, they beat Purdue. Their game at Arkansas coming up this week is a big
one. They got USC, so USC's they won.
USC's at home, Boise at home. I mean, if you look, I actually would predict if they beat Arkansas, if they win that road game this week, which obviously they should. But if they do, if you look at that schedule, I could see Notre Dame winning out and going 10-2 and making the playoffs. It's not.
Arkansas's got the best player maybe on a bad team in Taylor.
Yeah.
He's legit, man.
Yeah.
Like he's impressive. I know they got a bad team, but I think he had 2 interceptions this past week. But dude, that dude's he's got the best stats of any quarterback in the SEC overall, rushing and passing and everything else. He's legit.
And here's a great point.
They lost, yeah.
Tehana 12. They lost by 1 point.
Very true.
Very true.
They were close. They were close losses. So it doesn't matter if your sexy losses are a thing. Now. No question about it. All right, there you go. Thank you for that, Matthew. Appreciate you pulling up the polls there, and thank you for the super chat. One more super chat here before we get to some other topics. KD35 on Best says a scary part of this defense. They haven't even shown much yet. What are they about to do in the SEC? Been pretty vanilla so far. Yes, they have been pretty vanilla so far. I agree with you. I feel like versus San Diego State now, it could have been matchup specific. I feel like I saw them play more bump and run coverage on the outside the corner.
Were you surprised by that?
No, because they have nothing to fear. Right?
Yeah, there's nobody. You're
going to do it. You're going to give your corners the latitude to do it, Jerry. This was the game. Yeah. The question is, will we see that? Will we see that trend continue in SEC play? Because you are recruiting the type of athletes in this latest recruiting class, and your last 2 recruiting classes, long, lanky coverage specialists who can play bump and run press coverage at corner, especially a guy like Cade Phillips. So when I seen Cade Phillips coming out, I was like, oh yeah, Cade Phillips playing press man all day, every day, and twice on Sunday. That's what you recruited him for. I mean, you brought him in for that specific purpose. But they also put Grayson Littleton at corner.
That's what I was going to lead it to next. Were you surprised? What, he played 9-10 snaps at corner? And
it was early.
What does that tell you about him as a player, just the football intelligence part, that in 4 games into his career, he started at nickel and he's played corner? And I know 3 of those games aren't good teams, but still, what does it tell you?
As a true freshman, I feel like they believe that he may be a better coverage player than Jalen Gilmore already, or at least on the same level as a true freshman, which means if you look at the rate of development, only a matter of time before he surpasses him, or maybe he's already done that. So when they go with that big nickel, which is a 3 safety package, and they need a corner opposite Malik Muhammad, I want an SEC play if that's Grayson Littleton and not Malik Muhammad. Now, going into this game, remember, he was giving up an average of Gilbo was of 10 yards per target. So I'm not saying that's the case, but obviously I think the coaching staff wants another option there potentially at that other corner spot. So I was a little surprised that it wasn't Gilbo. They went with Grayson Littleton early. I think it might have been a 3rd or 4th drive defensively. that they went with that big nickel package and put him at that corner spot. So that's another thing to keep try to look at if you're a Longhorn fan. Also, Anthony Hill, he had and now he didn't play a lot of pass rush snaps, and he didn't play a lot in this game, period. They didn't need him. But if you look at the percentage of his snaps where he was a designated pass rusher, he had the highest percentage, over 25% of his snaps in this game. He was a designated pass rusher. That's his highest percentage so far this season. Got to go back and look. Maybe the highest percentage we've seen for him in a long time. I hope that is the case. I hope they're trying to use him more now as a pass rusher. You're so deep at linebacker with Ty Anthony Smith and Leon Lafau. You can afford to move him around, especially on third downs in that NASCAR package, and have him as an elite edge rusher at times too, or blitzing him from the second level in those interior gaps too. So that's also something to watch defensively. I thought was pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. But it has been vanilla. I agree with you. And PK doesn't like to blitz. That's not really his thing. But I think he's got something up his sleeve for SEC play. All right, let's thank our sponsor before we move on. We'll answer some more questions. Let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop, folks. RogueShop.com. Look, folks, they ship nationwide. So no matter where you are in this great country of ours, our friends over at Rogue Shop can get their fantastic products to you. They have it all from oils and creams to flour and gummies. They also will give you a very special discount if you use that very special discount code on your screen right there on Texas. Use that code when you go to rogueshop.com and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop. Maybe you're dealing with sleep deprivation, aches and pains from battling Father Time. Maybe for you, it's just anxiety in general. Our friends at Rogue Shop have a lot of different items that may help you deal with those ailments and battle them successfully. So reach out to them at rogueshop.com and use that discount code on Texas. Remember, they ship nationwide. So use that code on Texas and you can get some very special discounts from our friends over at rogueshop.com. All right, let's get back to.
I want to make a suggestion real quick.
Sir, go ahead.
I like all the fans that come in here. We have fun with them. Sooner Cowboys, I got a Halloween costume idea for you. Referee outfit with an Oklahoma hat.
That fumble was.
That would be a funny Halloween costume coming off the Auburn game.
It was. The only one I really had a problem with was the fumble that was first. That was a bad call.
That was a bad call.
The rest of them I get, but listen, Auburn's a badly coached team and an undisciplined team. So let's not act like Auburn, they're not their own worst enemy a lot of the times. But that call, and by the way, Oklahoma's got like 6 fumbles on the season. Matter of fact, that was their 6th fumble. So they may have had more than that. That was their 6th fumble of the season. And they've had a lot of issues with turnovers so far. So if Texas is going to beat them, I think they were going into that game 104th in turnovers. That may be their Achilles heel. And they have a quarterback who likes to play a lot of hero ball. Takeaways may be the Achilles heel. So if you're Texas, that would be something that could flip the odds in your favor in that matchup. Throwing it out there. All right, Jason with a super chat. Thank you, Jason. We appreciate it. Says 4 games into the season. Who do you think Texas should have gone after harder in the portal? Maybe an old lineman. Ooh, that is good. That's a good.
Well, that's something Texas hasn't done. That's a Sark flood thing that they just haven't gone there. I mean, it's hard to say that right now. I mean, I think they made great choices on the defensive line, right? I think injuries is a really good choice at tight end. Yeah. The one everybody's talking about is wide receiver, but until you see what Emmett Mosley can do and what he can bring to this team, it's easy to say, well, Texas should have gone to the portal for. Well, the one they wanted, who was brought in to be a starter, has been hurt. He hasn't played yet. So let's see what he brings to this team. What if he's a really good player? Then you're sitting there saying, well, what would you really needed another wide receiver for? Because the other thing is there isn't salary caps, but there is salary caps at the same time. When you recruit guys out of the portal and when you recruit guys out of high school, you have to be thinking 2 years ahead on some of this stuff. What do we have to do? I'm talking to them as a staff. What do we in their thinking have to do to retain the guys we're going to want to retain? And how's that going to look when you're then going into the portal and the price tag on a guy from the portal? there's a lot of things that factor into all this stuff. But I'm waiting to see what Emmett Mosley looks like and what he brings to this team.
Yeah, that is a good one. I've heard people talking about running back because you've had injuries, but you're deep there. I mean, I like James Simon. I think he looks good. And Jared Gibson, listen, if you ain't got to worry about Jared Gibson and ball security issues, he looks like one of the better young running back prospects in the country. And, Trey Wisener and CJ back. So I can see why they didn't go after a running back, just because they may have really liked the young guy.
Well, and here's the thing. We talked about that with running backs is, okay, Texas had a 1,000-yard running back coming back. Cedric Baxter was a starter before he hurt his knee.
Mm-hmm.
And Texas, those kids aren't jumping. Guys, older, experienced players aren't jumping in the portal to go battle for reps with two other guys. Quinshaw Judkins went to Ohio State. It was him and Travion Henderson.
Yep.
If Henderson had been there with another really good back, does anybody think Judkins would have gone to Ohio State?
No way.
No chance. So Texas wasn't really in a position to go recruit a back in the portal, and any guy that goes in the portal is not going to be said, "Oh, that's a great place. I'm going to go get in a 3-way battle." That's not what those guys are jumping in the portal for.
Yeah, especially at running back.
Yeah.
Running back, considering how it's been devalued at the NFL level, it's about getting showcased so you can get to the league. Yep. Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy, love that handle. D tackles are expensive, and we needed 7.
100%.
And by the way, they're playing all them damn dudes.
Yes.
Now, so I don't know what's gonna happen when they get to SEC play, but so far, Watson and Hero Canoe has played. Was it Cole Brevard has played a ton? I guess maybe Levon Johnson's the one that hasn't played as much.
And he was hurt at the beginning of fall camp.
And Travis Shaw is playing a lot more. They've used all those D tackles, man. So that's a good point, Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy. And honestly, I'm not going to lie. They're way deeper than I thought. Those are quality D tackles.
They're quality D tackles.
I thought half of them will work out, which is fine. You bring in 4 or 5, half of them work out. You still got the depth you need. Honestly, guys, right now, it's still early. I don't know if except Levon Johnson, maybe the one that hasn't necessarily given you a lot of return on investment, but that's because he's been dealing with injury. But the rest of them, they've all flashed. Brevard is flashed. Rod Watson is flashed. Hero Canoe has flashed already. I like this group of D tackles. I'm not going to lie.
And here's the crazy thing. If the 5 years to play rule does come into effect, which college coaches, football and basketball, are thinking it is. They're having meetings on players who are 4th-year seniors right now, thinking they're going to get a 5th year because the NCAA is going to go to 5 to play 5. So no more red shirts. It's 5 years to play 5. If that happens, Travis Shaw could get another year. Just something to keep in mind. Hero Canoe has another year, but if Texas, and he wants that, and Texas wants that, but if this 5 to play 5 happens, which college coaches do think it is. I'm not reporting. I'm not trying to be a national reporter on this. I'm just telling you what the way college coaches are preparing right now. You could get Travis Shaw back for a 5th year. You could return all of them.
Yeah, Sark brought that up. The 5. You talked about. I'll give you props, Jay. You brought that up this offseason. Randomly, I want to say it was like we talking about like July or something. Like, hey, there's a lot of momentum. For the 5 for 5, kind of taking place. And I think now it's gotten a lot more support. And I like the idea, by the way.
I love it. It's just what it should be. That's what it should be. I mean, what are we? Oh, man, he's played in 3 games. Is he going to lose his rich? Get done with all this stuff. 5 years. If you have 5 years from when you graduate from high school of eligibility, just let guys play 5 years.
Yep.
And it's too simple. It's too simple, though.
They want to complicate it, Jerry. You know that. They like to complicate things these days. All right. Thank you for that, Buddy Pal, Chief Big Guy. Great point there about the D tackles. Daryl, super chat. Thank you, Daryl. We appreciate it. Says, will this season be the biggest coaching carousel we've seen in recent history? Wow. Seems like a lot of turnover coming. Yeah, I mean, I thought because of the new revenue sharing model, all right, obviously coming to fruition, teams maybe programs maybe a little bit more strapped for cash. So they may be willing to keep a coach around who's a middling coach, not necessarily a bad coach. But I mean, you never know, Jerry. What are your thoughts? I thought maybe it would be the reverse, that teams may decide we got to spend money on players, so we can't spend much money on coaches. But is it maybe something I'm missing?
Yeah, look, I was at the same place, Rod, but with what we're seeing is I think these jobs are going to open quicker when they say we're done with this. This guy's not going to make it. Virginia Tech's already open, right? Because you got to get open and get ahead of this because you have one portal window now, January 2nd through the 12th. You have your December signing day. I mean, if you're going to open up your job, you're going to have to open them up sooner, right, to get the ball rolling here. I mean, hey, babe, by the way, Dabo's 1-3. I don't think they'll fire him, but he's asking for it. But, yeah, I mean, look, there's multiple jobs open in college football already. Oklahoma State sure feels like it's going to open, right? I mean, it's a tougher job now, but it's a decent job, right? And, you look around, you could see, I mean, Wisconsin, if they have a rough go of it in the Big Ten, that job could open potentially. UCLA is already open. Now, I don't know how much they care about football, but on the surface, that's a good job, great place to live. I do think you're going to see Florida. I mean, unless something wild happens, that job's opening. I mean, bottom line, I think Arkansas, you can't lose to Memphis at Arkansas. We'll see what happens at Kentucky. I mean, there could be a lot of movement this year. And, if a Florida job opens and they pry some guy from Oxford, then Ole Miss is open. So I do think this coaching carousel could get a little wild this year, but it only gets wild if a couple of big jobs open, because then somebody from an already good job normally gets it, and that keeps the carousel going.
Yeah, you're right. A blue blood spot has got to open up. And Florida is right now the likeliest of those blue blood spots open up, and then they can make an offer to a good coach that he can't refuse.
Yes.
You know what I mean? At another spot. And also, Oklahoma State, a lot of talk that Mike Gundy is, done with Oklahoma State. And not saying that's a blue blood job, but
he lost to freaking Tulsa, man.
Yeah, and exactly. That's a damn good coach. We all know Mike Gundy's a good coach. Yeah. But he has struggled in the NIL transfer portal era to really be able to, to I think, advance the program in this new age of college football. If he can end up with a program that's got a good GM and a good, decent donor base, Mike Gundy could make some noise.
I'll tell you what's going to be interesting, and I'm not saying Clemson is going to fire him at all.
Oh yeah,
man. There comes a point in time where sometimes you just got to go, and it may be on Dabo. Like, hey man, I've won 2 national titles here. I played for 2 others. Y'all think the grass is greener? Have at it. Yeah, but there's got to be a job for Dabo to take.
Yep.
So that Clemson's interesting because that thing's about to get really ugly there.
And that's another guy, Jerry, who's kind of been very reluctant to embrace the new era of college football, transfer portal. And I know him and Gundy got a lot of commonality. Let's be honest here. A lot of commonality. Good coaches though, but you got to embrace the future. You have to.
And by the way, Oklahoma's on the high right now. What happens if after this start they go 8-4? Another year?
Blue blood.
Because now you're 4-0. What if he goes 8-4? That means he went 4-4 and limped home. Does he get another year?
Depends on what coach.
New president, new AD. I say new AD.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can still happen out here. Then there's somebody jumping to the NFL.
I would say it depends on what coach is available if you're Oklahoma. Like, who's available that would want this gig? And is Oklahoma still like, okay, Oklahoma and Florida are open. Florida's a sexier job than Oklahoma, right?
I would think in the modern era.
Exactly. That's kind of what I said.
Florida's won 2 national titles since Oklahoma won 1 in 00. So, I mean,
and you got a fertile recruiting base.
Oklahoma's recruiting base. Yeah.
You go to Texas and Cali and all that, but Florida, you're in the middle of it.
Yeah. So. Yeah. And look, this was the year that Dabo's been pointing.
Ooh.
I don't know if Florida would make that hire. That one seems like does not seem like the fit.
Fit is
the problem with Dabo is he has been anti-portal publicly.
No.
And so are you really going to hire him?
Why you don't? Yeah. I don't know. Why do you ever take that? That was a dumb stance to take.
That was a bad stance to take. Because you're essentially saying my evaluations are 100% out of high school when it's when it's not possible, and we don't need the portal. We're so that you're playing a wide receiver at running back. At Clemson, after playing for a national title 4 times in 6 years, you're playing a running back, a wide receiver at running back.
Yeah. Yeah.
That should not happen with the program he built.
Yeah. He assumed the players cared more about going to Clemson than they did about player empowerment, and you were wrong. You're wrong about that one. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. Dylan, super chat. Thank you, Dylan, for the super chat. We appreciate it very much. Says, nice seeing both Jay Coleman and Brooks on the old line. Did D. Coleman get in as well? Nice seeing Isaiah Coleman get in there and make something happen. I just got to say, Nick Brooks, they showed, I'm going to try to get a still shot of it. I forgot what, I think it's like in the third quarter. They have the entire O-line, like the back shot of them all standing up. And Nick Brooks looks so much bigger than the rest of the O-linemen guys. Yeah. It is crazy.
And by the way, Daniel Cruz is 6'2", 310, and Nate Kiffin is 6'3", 325.
He made them look
small guys.
That's unbelievable. That dude is like, that's a mammoth human being, period.
I like those young cats. Even did Devin Coleman play? I mean, Isaiah Coleman played a snap or two in that game as the walk-on. People are telling me Devin Coleman plays. I don't remember seeing him. I know Jordan Colton got some snaps at left tackle. I like these young offensive linemen. I think they're movers of people. I think these Daniel Cruz, Nate Kibble, Nick Brooks can lean on you. I mean, he can just lean on you, right?
Yeah.
But there's some – Coleman's are massive for people that hadn't seen that. I mean, there's a video on my Twitter feed from years ago when Jordan Coleman was spring of his junior year when he was squatting 600 pounds. I mean, he is a big, naturally strong guy. Devin is big, naturally strong. I like the young linemen in this program.
To your point about Jerry, them trying to move other guys, we've heard Sark talk about them wanting to be a more physical football team. In 3 of the 4 games so far this season, they've run more gap power schemes than zone schemes. The only time they ran more zone schemes was against UTEP when Cedric Baxter got hurt on the first play of the game. And I think if he didn't get hurt, they'd have kept with their gap power scheme kind of favor in the running game. And I'm with you. I think they're recruiting guys on the O-line who can move, as Tom Herman would once say, move other human beings against their will.
Yeah.
And you had a big O-line when Sark first got here, when he recruited all those young guys with, Kelvin Banks, obviously, and, Jake Majors and all those guys, but they were a finesse O-line. I think now he wants the size, but with a mentality of physicality with those guys. And that's going to be the difference with this group. They're already calling plays to suit their skill set, which is more power gap schemes. Interesting to see if that's because last year you were a zone blocking scheme most of the time in the run game, probably 55 to 60% of the time. Now you're a gap power scheme run game most of the time. Be interesting to see if that keeps up in SEC play when you're on the road versus Florida. All right, getting back to the super chats. Thank you guys. Justin with a super chat here. Thank you, Justin. Said, I hope we can keep building on the team energy. I really like what I've seen from the offensive energy wise yesterday. Yeah, I mean, that was because of Arch, Justin. Thank you for the super chat. Arch had the swag. He had the swag, even if you're talking about him, getting in the face of the Sam Houston defender after he scores a touchdown, celebrations. Arch played with passion. And you got to play this game with emotion, man. There are very few guys I know that can play the game with a very even kill emotion. Now, some of them are quarterbacks. But from what I hear about Arch in practice, that he's a guy, talks trash, and has got a lot of swag. And that has to translate to the on-field game day performance. If you're going to be like that in practice, and you also are executing at a high level in practice, and you're bringing the juice to the team in practice, and you're challenging your teammates in practice that way, that's got to be the same guy in the game. The guy in the games can't be unrecognizable to his teammates from what they saw in practice.
Yeah,
be the same guy.
Yeah, and you got to be who you are.
Yep.
Whoever that is, you got to be who you are. Just think about whether it's people you work with or people you know or athletes that you've watched over the years. Just if you're not genuine in who you are and true to who you are, just think about those people you've seen try to put on an act that normally doesn't end up going well. Mm-mm. Look at Tom Herman.
Man.
People see through that.
Great example. That's a great example of it. No, thank you for that. We appreciate the super chat. Juan with another one here. Juan, thank you for the super chat. For you, Jerry. Jerry, why Lane Kiffin to Florida? Ole Miss not a good job?
It's a good question. So if you're Lane and you were at Tennessee and you left to go to USC and it didn't go well, okay? He's what, 51 now? There's certain – I was talking to a buddy of mine and I totally agree with what he was saying earlier. There's some of those jobs he will not get hired at, of the blue blood jobs. This may be the best chance he gets again. And Florida is a great recruiting base. It's a tremendous job if you do it right. I mean, you can win a national championship at Florida. You can definitely win a title at Florida. Now, when FSU and Miami are both good, like they are this year, man, it's a real battleground. But in Florida, you can recruit the Carolinas, you can recruit Georgia, you can recruit nationally. It's a really good job. And at 51 years old, if you have a chance at that job and you pass it up, what's the next one you could get in on? That's the hard thing if you're Lane Kiffin right now.
Yeah.
What's the job you could get in on that's out there? Ole Miss is a good job. It's not a great job. But what's the other job out there that you think you're hireable for or would hire you? Tennessee won't hire you again. USC won't hire you again.
Mm-mm.
I mean, and you could go down the list of some jobs that won't hire him because of whatever happened in the past. So he's kind of limited. If you want to make a run at it at one of these blue bloodish type jobs, that may be your best opportunity.
It's a good point, Jared. There ain't many of them, and they don't come open that often either. It's a good point. I love you. I think you're right. I think Florida would hire him.
Yes,
I think Florida would hire him, and it's actually a nice fit.
He's got a little Spurrier in him.
Yeah, Florida
would rally around that.
Yes, Florida don't mind their coach being either a little quirky, a little eccentric, or being a straight up a-hole. They don't mind it. They don't mind it. As long as you're winning games. And one thing we know about Lane Kiffin, the offense is taken care of. He's gonna have one of the best offenses in the country. Yeah. He is a really good offensive mind.
Proven, hey, he has a D2 quarterback playing well. He knows quarterbacks.
It don't matter. Yeah, I'm with you. He has, to me, I think, you got to put him in the conversation as one of the top 5 best offensive minds in college football. All right, let's get back to the super chats here. Dylan, thank you, Dylan, for the super chat. He says, were you guys surprised that Brooks was at right tackle, Coleman at left tackle? I thought it would be flipped. What thoughts on that, Jerry?
I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm interested to see where this goes in the spring because it was flipped from a recruiting standpoint. Jordan Coleman was recruited to be a right tackle, and Nick Brooks was recruited as a tackle, but obviously he was the backup left tackle in the spring. And then I think when Andre Kojo went down, they needed somebody who's really good to push Brandon Baker and give him that competition.
Okay.
I'm interested to see where this goes in the spring. And we're not going to have the answer now. Will there be any shuffling of guys in spring practice? That's what I'm looking for. I think we're set this season as it is with where these guys are at. But let's see what happens in the spring because these guys were recruited in reverse of that.
That's a good point, Jerry. I like that. I like your point about pushing Baker too because Baker probably had maybe his best game versus UTEP. If I'm not mistaken, one of his best games versus UTEP. Yeah. And I said they would challenge him versus UTEP because he has kind of given up some plays here and there, had some mental lapses, had a really good game versus UTEP. I got to go back and watch him in this matchup, actually. But I like what you said about pushing Baker. That might be the reason that he played at right tackle. All right, thank you for the super chat. CB with a super chat. Appreciate it, CB. Always love from my man Chris Bennett. Says, Lacey played, not Owens. Are you surprised?
Well, we had reported that he was taking the third team reps and warm-ups from the season opener. So, no, not surprised. And I think he's got a chance to be a really good football player. I'll say that. He's a playmaker.
Yeah, I saw him, and I remember saying he's just got great instincts and arm talent. Like some of the things you really can't teach, like anticipation and ball placement and accuracy. Like he's got a lot of those things naturally. And from what we heard, he was able to make plays in Texas practices, when he was operating the quarterback position. And he's got the it quality. It stands out, and I'm a big Trey. I'm a Trey Owens fan, by the way. I have been on the record saying Trey Owens is not going to finish his eligibility here at Texas. That he would end up transferring. I think now that's more, realistic than ever for him. But when I've heard about KJ Lacey, him stepping out there, not surprised because Jerry and Bobby have been talking about it for a while now. But also, I think he may be more. He may be more the quarterback or more the type of quarterback that Sark sees is best suited for Texas to be successful in the future, considering where football is going. Like Trey Owens is a pocket passing quarterback for the most part, operates in the pocket, needs to be on schedule, on time, and in rhythm. And if he does, and he is, he's great. But the Kim Kardashian, Nicki Minaj, Serena Williams, Cardi B size, making the same size, but
Emory Winston.
Yeah. And you want to throw him in there. I won't do it, but you can throw him in there.
Somebody asked you to do it.
He's got a wide base. But Jerry, you talked, and CJ's done a great job talking about this too, like that point guard ability of a quarterback to be able to operate with second reaction ability, off schedule, and improvisation. Which you talked about that with John Mateer. KJ Lacey's got that. Matthew Caldwell's got a little bit more of it than maybe I thought. And Arch Manning's really good at that. I think Sark is recruiting quarterbacks who have that second reaction instinct. And not saying Trey Owens doesn't have any of it, but the guy, I think KJ Lacey's got more of it. The thing that can make a coach right, even when the play call is wrong. And I think that's something coaches are looking at now. KJ Lacey's got it in space.
Yeah, look, Charlie Ward, point guard. Hell, NBA point guard. I mean, he chose it. NBA over NFL. But I think I talked to Jeff Matthews at Saraland about this when first time I went to see KJ Lacey about his background as a point guard, and Jeff being a really good quarterback himself that was great at Southern Miss, played in the CFL, cup of coffee in the NFL, now the coach down there. We talked about that point guard because as a guy who grows up as a point guard, their peripheral vision, their head has to be on a swivel all the time. Yeah. And they're used to having to react to so many things. Basketball is such a moving sport game like this all around them. They have to be able to react with their feet, their hands, and it starts with their eyes, right? And their eyes and your feet at the same time. But we talked about how much that helps a quarterback. If you can find a quarterback, Diabell obviously was a point guard, combo guard, an average 20 game in his freshman year in basketball. Those guys, they just see they're so accustomed to things going through their peripheral really quickly.
Yeah.
And their feet are reacting to this, and they're having to adjust their body angles, right, to make a pass in traffic on a basketball court, which there's always traffic in a basketball court.
Yeah.
There's something to that if you can find that guy who can also is a natural passer of a football. There's truly something to that.
Yep. I agree with you. I think you're right about that.
They're hard to find, though. You got to dig. You got to find those guys.
Yeah, and he's a small guy, KJ Lacey. Small.
He's 5'11", 190.
Yeah. So my point is
90.
Yeah, you got to really believe in his intangibles and really believe in that skill set when you have a quarterback that's that small, because there are limitations based on that size. But you're like, no, it don't matter. He can overcome the limitations. Yeah. His skill set is that extraordinary. So just throwing it out there. Because what's Trey Owens? 6'3", 6'4"?
6'5" and 6'5", 240.
Woo, that's. I think Trey Owens is going to go somewhere else, and I think he'll start. I've said that before. I'll stick by that. All right. Thank you for that question, CB. We appreciate it. That was a good one, though, because these games were to determine who was going to be that backup quarterback. It's clear Matthew Caldwell's that guy, but who knew KJ Lacey was going to take over third string? Well, Jerry and Bobby knew, but none of us others knew. All right. Slick Rick with a super chat here. Thank you, Slick Rick. Says 9 penalties won't cut it in conference play. Baker causes too many penalties. He does have a lot of penalties. And, yeah, I think, honestly, the penalty thing, Jerry, at this point, I hate to say it, this is kind of part of who this team is. We're 4 games in now, and you're averaging, you came into the game averaging 8 penalties. You got 9 in the game. I hate to say it, this may be part of your identity and part of your DNA as a team, that you're pretty undisciplined overall.
Well, it's yeah, and Jason already said Big Cam had a bunch through the right tackle positions, the most penalized position in Texas football the last 2 years, as it turns out. But,
damn.
Yeah. But yeah, Stephen Houston said it, like Brandon Baker blocks well. The penalties are too much though. But Brandon Baker actually doesn't. He grades out pretty well.
He does.
I mean, he grades out pretty well. He's actually going to be a really good player, but he does have to get the penalties under control.
Yeah.
I'm a little different up here. I actually think Brandon Baker's going to end up being a really good player. It's just, but the penalties are an issue.
Yeah. Like I said, he might have had his best game versus UTEP a couple weeks ago. I got to see how he graded out in this game versus Sam Houston State, but I'm assuming pretty good because it's Sam Houston State. All right. Yeah. Getting back to the question, Catch the Wave X. Thank you for the super chat. Does Ryan Niblett remind you guys of Jeff Demps?
No.
The Charlie Strong. No. Feel like Billy Napier's run in Florida. Okay, can I ask this about Ryan Niblett though? Because I want to talk about this a little bit today. Is it possible, because they put him in the game at running back and he's played wide receiver, so he's one of those guys that can do both for you. Is it possible you want him to be your low budget Jaden Blue this year? Low budget. I said low budget, so don't get Jaden. I get it. I'm saying low budget Jaden Blue, meaning every now and then he can run that wheel route for you out of the backfield. You can run some swing screens with him, some quick game with him, some of those smoke routes like they did the empty formation where he got like the 30 or 39-yard reception on the screen. Some of that stuff. He ain't going to be as good as Jaden Blue, because Jaden Blue could be a threat as a runner to take it to the house, home run threat, and also be a home run threat in the passing game too. But you don't have – he's the only guy that can come close to bringing that element out of the backfield for you. Nobody else – the rest of these guys don't have a shot at being a vertical threat in the passing game out of the backfield.
Here's the crazy thing, and people might say I'm nuts for this. I actually like him doing some things at receiver more than I like him in the punt return game. I think in the punt return game, there's still too much indecision. Now, the last 2 weeks, people have outkicked the coverage. I thought last night, that was one of my little negatives about the game. I thought he left 75 to 100 yards on the field in punt returns last night.
Oh, wow.
That guy was out kicking the coverage. I'm not sure he naturally sees it, sets it up. There was one play, I don't know if the lights affected him. He just let the ball bounce like literally almost off his foot.
Oh, I saw it. Yeah, that was a bad one. Yeah,
he's leaving a lot of yards against Sam Houston, who outkicked the coverage and then didn't have the athleticism to truly cover it well. I thought he left 75 to 100 yards on the field in punt returns last night. And I appreciate him as a culture warrior. I think those guys are so important in college sports. I almost like him more as in the screen guy, as a gadget guy, wide receiver than I do as punt returner. I really hope the more Jonah Williams, healthier he gets, I hope they give him a chance in the punt return game, because even though he's 6'3", 215, I think it's very natural for him. And by the way, on Jeff Demps was an Olympic sprinter that ran 10 flat in college.
Ooh.
He's about as fast as anybody you've seen in college football in history.
I know guys keep saying Niblett is really fast, though. Oh, there's Brandon Baker's PFF grades. Thank you for that, Matthew. We appreciate it. Yeah, see, UTEP, they got him as a 66. Yeah, I mean, I guess that was one of his best. He had a good game, so he's getting better. The point here is that Brandon Baker, you look at his overall pass blocking grade, he did have an 84 versus UTEP, 78 last game versus Sam Houston State, but those are his two best games, pass blocking wise and run blocking wise. So maybe not ideal in terms of where you want him to be, but he's definitely getting better, which I think is a challenge for the Texas offense, period, that everybody get better every week. If we don't have regression, if you're not seeing serious regression, that was a concern for Arch in the UTEP game, regression. So, yeah, we saw regression. If you keep seeing positive, momentum and progression from this group, I think the Texas offense will be fine when it's all said and done. But Ryan Niblett, that's it. He's an interesting case study right now in terms of what they're going to do with him offensively. It's clear Sark likes him.
Yes,
and trusts him, and
I like him. I think I like him. I think they can find a role for him on this team. I just don't think it's naturally as a punt returner. Now they may be able to get away with it, but it's not natural to him.
I agree with that, though. He doesn't seem like a natural punt returner.
No.
That we saw, because we've seen that. We've seen Xavier Worthy. Yeah. We saw Silas Bowles, and those guys were natural punt returners, to your point. All right. Slick Rick with a super chat here. Thank you, Slick Rick. We appreciate the super chat. Says, Rod, do you think Littleton moving to safety in coming years would make more of an impact? The kid has Earl Thomas instinct. This is a good conversation, Slick Rick.
It is a really good question.
Yes. Because I've talked to, Quandre Diggs is a great example of this. because Quandre, when he first came in, I believe Quandre was a nickel, then moved to corner. And then when he's in the league, they put him at safety. And if you go watch his career, Quandre always made more plays at safety than he did at corner or at nickel. He was like because he's a better playmaking safety. And I always said because he was a football investigator. What I mean by that is football investigators. They're guys who are able to decipher, and they are able to break down clues pre-snap and even post-snap that give them more of a jump on how to solve or read the play. And the more clues you have as an investigator, the better chance you'll have at solving the play or figuring out the play. When you're at safety, you have more clues at your disposal than any other position. You can see everything. I see the quarterback. I see the formation. I see the receivers. I see the leverage. I see the alignments, everything. And if you're able to process it quick enough, you really can narrow down the ways that the offense is going to try to attack you and exploit you. And in that way, also put yourself in the prime position to disrupt or stop the play. And that's what Quandre would do. And Quandre, by the way, hated playing safety. He always said, I'm out of the play. Sometimes I would be able to diagnose the play, and then the coach would have my responsibility in a deep third or somewhere else, and I couldn't even affect the play, but I'd have to tell my teammates, hey, I think they're going to run the screen, or I think they're going to run the smoke route. Hey, I think the counter's coming, but I couldn't necessarily just go attack it because I have a responsibility. So that's why he hated playing safety. He liked playing nickel because at nickel, you can just go, you know what, to hell with it. I'm going to use my instincts. If I think they're going to run a sweep here, I'm going to blow it up. Because I've actually been able to decipher all the clues, and I think and interpret them. And I think they're going to run a sweep here, and I'm going to go blow it up. As soon as I get the first key, if the wide receiver is going to stalk block me, I'm gone. I'm not even going to worry about any other play. Boom, I'm blowing it up. And he could do that at star, and at nickel, couldn't do it at safety as much. So to your point about Grayson Littleton, what kind of player is Grayson Littleton going to be? Right now, they got him playing more corner. Like I said, in this game, they played corner. More so than
here's my question, Rod. Why I thought that was interesting is, and he's a different frame, and Michael Griffin's frame really filled out, right? Yep. But Michael Griffin even played a little corner in the NFL.
Play some nickel too in the league.
Mm-hmm. If you ever get to a point, here's what I thought made that Texas secondary so great in 05, along with the speed, right? But Michael Griffin was like a corner playing safety.
He was.
Is what that was.
So was Huff.
So if you can ever get to the point where Texas can entertain this question, then Texas is in a great spot at corner and nickel. Because I do think if you got to the point where you could put Grayson Littleton at safety, he might pick off 7 or 8 passes in a season. I think he's got that type of closing speed and studying of football smarts, football intelligence. Yep. If Cade Phillips, if somebody like a Caleb Chester, if somebody else you've recruited comes along here and really develops, and you could even entertain that guy could be a true ball hawk back there. And by the way, with Michael Taft graduating, could you see that next year looked at? Could Grayson Littleton become Michael Taft that's more of a ball skill playmaker because of the speed? And what could that do for your defense? Something to think about next spring.
I will say this. Coach Akina told me that he had Earl Thomas working star and nickel.
Yep. And
then literally he put Earl Thomas at safety, and he made so many plays at safety they could never move him back. Like basically, Mac Brown was like, no, you can't move him. Look what he's doing. But he had him originally based on his skill set and his size and his instincts. He had him at star and at nickel where Grayson Littleton is playing. So to Jerry's point, I think he's a natural. I think he plays the star position too well for you to move him there permanently away from there until you find another option that can play it at a competent level. So I think right now he's your best star, but that they could go because they're so deep at safety, which they are. They got 3 starters at safety. They can go with 3 starting safeties and just move them out to corner and say, man, you're one of our 2 best coverage corners. You and Malik Muhammad are our 2 best guys, and then have Gilbo as the guy that can kind of come in and rotate and give a breather to guys or come in those NASCAR packages. But he can – they move – by the way, they play him at safety. When they have him at nickel and they do their 3 high inverted look, he plays safety. He's a deep half safety. So they play him there at times. He's just a really talented young DB. I'm with Jerry. If you have the luxury of being able to consider him playing a safety, that means that you must be extremely deep at cornerback and at
That's where you want to be, where you can have this discussion next year. Yeah. That's where you ideally want to be.
But with guys like Jonah Williams coming, and then you got guys like Zealous Hicks, and then you got Derek Williams, and who knows about Jelani McDonald? He's balling.
Jelani McDonald looks like he's going pro if he has.
Exactly. I'm not even gonna count Jelani McDonald because I'm with you. He looks like he's balling out of control.
But here's the question, Rod, for that: as much as they're putting on the plate of Michael Taft, is Grayson Littleton the best option from a football smarts, getting everybody lined up? Could he bring so much value to the back end as a whole that they have to almost look at him a little bit in that regard?
That's a great point.
We may not know enough about the younger safeties to have that answer yet.
Yep. That would honestly, who would determine that is probably Derek Williams. And if Jelani McDonald comes back, how those guys, how much are they ready to put on their plate as the air traffic controllers in that secondary? Yeah, that's a good point, Jerry. All right, let's thank a sponsor. I know we're getting close to the end of our live stream. We got a couple of more questions, and then we'll end things for tonight. Let's thank our friends over at Rogue Shop before we end tonight's live stream. RogueShop.com is where you need to go. Use that discount code. You see it right there on your screen on Texas, and you'll get a very special discount from our friends over at Rogue Shop. They have it all from oils and creams to flour, gummies, and vitamins. They have it all, folks, no matter what you're dealing with. Maybe it's sleep deprivation. Maybe it's anxiety. Maybe it's the aches and pains from battling father time from your playing days, or whatever it is. Our friends at Rogue Shop, they have a variety of different vitamins and oils and creams and flours to help you battle those ailments successfully. So give them a shout today at RogueShop.com. Remember to use that discount code on Texas, and also they ship nationwide, no matter where you are in this great country of ours. Our friends over at Rogue Shop can get their fabulous products to you ASAP. Thank you very much to our friends at RogueShop.com. All right. Ryan says, Jerry Joseph, Mbachu was playing for Florida on Saturday.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up because Florida, their defensive front actually is really good. And they played well against Miami's offensive line is really good. I mean, I still think Carson Beck is Carson Beck, and that showed up. He had some really errant throws in that game. But Florida's defense front's really good. Now, I'm hearing Caleb Banks may be done for the year. We'll see on that. Definitely not supposed to play against Texas. He didn't play against Miami. His backup injured his right knee on that first goal line stand at the end of that game, or attempted goal line stand by Florida. So if Banks is out and his backup's out, Florida's a little light in the britches headed into SEC play. The other young kid from Atlanta area, 350, 360-pounder, I won't remember his name, pronounce it well. He's also been out. Where is he going to be at for the Texas game? So potentially three of their top six are out, depending on what kind of the medicals, where those come back on guys. So their D-line, Jamari Lyons, really good player, 310-pound guy, right? Tyreek Sapp, really good player. They have some NFL guys on that line. They're going to be missing at least half of them against Texas, from what I'm hearing. So Mbakchu did play. They're having to play him probably more snaps than they wanted to due to injury. He's going to be a really good player down the line. I think they're having to push that too much. By the way, Florida also lost Dejon Johnson in that game, one of their best DBs. We'll see what his prognosis is. Not only did Florida lose that game, they might have lost 2-3 defensive players for an extended period of time in that game. So see what they look like defensively after this off week headed into Texas.
All right, let's get to a couple of super chats before we end things. How about this one from Todd Lacey? Thank you, Todd. We appreciate the super chat. How do you see the NCAA proposed 5 years of eligibility in 5 years rule affect guys leaving early, if at all?
So I had a post about this, and I don't know. And I do think this will happen. The college coaches on football and basketball are recruiting and having meetings like this is going to happen. The guys at Texas, okay, so your guy, if this happened to where your guys that are fourth-year seniors right now have exhausted their eligibility, could have one more year, potentially would be Ethan Burke, Travis Shaw, DJ Campbell, and Cole Hudson. Those would be your 4 guys that this could impact if a couple of those guys wanted to come back or Texas wanted to bring a couple of those guys back. In basketball, it's Kendall Weaver and Jordan Pope. Those are your 2 fourth-year seniors coming up that when it goes 5 to play 5, will get an extra year. At Texas, we're talking about right now. And look, I can't 100% guarantee it. I'm not trying to be anybody from Yahoo or ESPN that covers these stories nationally, but I can only tell you what the coaches are telling me and what they're preparing for behind the scenes. So those would be your 4 guys on the football team currently that matter, that would be eligible for a 5th year, a 5-and-5 scenario. In basketball, it'd be Weaver and Jordan Pope.
Oh man, that's a great opportunity though for somebody who wants to go to the pros and then maybe I'm not getting this drafted as high as I would have wanted, or maybe my draft stock is not as high. Come back for next year, get some revenue sharing money still, and be able to increase your draft stock. Man, that's good stuff. All right, J Ray 626 said, if Jelani maintains his current play, is this his last year? Yeah, if he stays on this pace, yeah, because he's making so many splash plays, athletic, freakish plays in the game.
I mean, Rod, he's playing like a guy that could get drafted in the top 2 rounds, right? Because he's going to go test well, and he looks beautiful.
Beautiful, as Coach that's right, Coach described him as beautiful.
Looks beautiful in a uniform. And he's going to test well. You see the athleticism on the field.
The only thing that hurts him is that, safeties, Caleb Downs will get drafted high, but they are not necessarily a premium position. Don't get drafted very high. But to your point, Jerry, he's going to test like a freak, and freaks do get drafted higher.
Yes. So
he's going to have some freakish testing numbers. There's no doubt.
And I think the other thing with him is he's still got a lot. I think he's still got a lot more to maximize his ceiling. He's not coming out as a finished product, even close to it.
And some of that to me is on PK a little bit, to use him a little bit differently, right? I think PK should use him a little bit differently. Maybe it's time to bring him on some blitzes. Maybe it's trying to bring him down into the box a little bit. Maybe sometimes he should be the inverted defender when you run the 3 high and let him roam that middle a little bit too. So, but I'm with you, J Ray. You're right. Right now, Jelani McDonald continues on this trajectory. He's going to the league. Don't know where he's going to get drafted yet. We haven't talked about that, but he's a league guy.
I like it. Marco Mendez.
And we start calling McDonald's turnovers happy steals. Well done.
I like it.
I'm writing it down.
We're writing it down.
That's money right there. Happy steals.
That may be the name of a show at some point. We'll give you credit, Marco.
Yeah, that's money right there. Well done. I love the creativity. This late at night, still got the creative juices flowing. All right, last question here before we end things from Clint. Clint wants to know, is Mosley on track to play versus Florida?
Whew.
I don't. I'm gonna say no, because I just at this point I don't want to get my hopes up about Mosley, so I'm just keep saying no until we see it.
Period. He's on an island in the Caribbean, he's witness protection program, sitting somewhere on a beach with no beach bar. We'll see if he comes out for warm-ups.
We'll see. Exactly.
Takes it through warm-ups.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll say this, I think they need him badly. Because I do think this guy's a really good player. I think he's a really good blocker. I think he's a 50-50 ball winner. I think he's got a big physical frame. I think, look, there's a reason they recruited him to be a starter on this team. And he was recruited to be a starter on this team. He started 9 games at Stanford. And you used to heard Sark talk about him. He's better in every aspect than we thought. He just hadn't been able to get on the field. So when Sark says things like that, remember what he said about Ty Anthony Smith as a budding star. What are we saying out of Ty Anthony Smith? Well, he's a budding star. And remember, he said Emmett Mosley's bigger than we thought. He's faster than we thought. He said he's better at everything than we thought. And they brought him in to be a starter. So that means, wow, we really like what we've seen. So let's hope he gets on the field, because I think he's a potential difference maker for this team. And I'm not saying all SEC player. People will take what I'm saying out of context. But on this team, I think he's a potential difference maker.
Yeah. No, and the wide receiving core could use him. There's no doubt about that. Thank you for the question, Clint. We appreciate that. And thank you guys for all the super chats. You guys have been awesome. Really appreciate you guys throwing out the super chats and all your questions. Sorry we couldn't get to all of the questions and comments, but if you really got a question that you want answered by the great minds of ON Texas football, Jerry and Bobby will be live early tomorrow morning for Coffee and Football at 8:15 a.m. So you can obviously ask those guys those questions. And also, I will be with Coach Bob Shipley and, of course, my man CJ Vogel. That'll be at 7:15, around 7:20 tomorrow at 7:20 p.m. We'll be there for your prime time winning drive tomorrow night as well. And also, actually, Sark doesn't have. We got a bye week, so we don't get our Sark media availability like we usually do. But anything that breaks in the meantime, trust me, folks, we'll have you covered. Thank you.
We should have a mock press conference. Who should be Sark?
You wanna upset Sark? Have a mock Sark.
We should have a mock press conference this week.
Yeah, you want to do it? Yeah, do that, and it'll get back to Sark. I guarantee you, and John Bianca that y'all had a mock Sark press conference. It's not bad though.
We're gonna give the people what they want.
But like I said, anything that breaks, guys, of course, we'll have it covered right here on Texas Football. Thank you to Matthew behind the scenes. Matthew's a real MVP. We can't do it without him. Thank you, Alan. Football Theory. We'll have another great football theory coming up later on this week, breaking down things. By the way, if you want to make sure that you are knowledgeable and are always apprised and abreast of everything happening with Texas football, make sure that you are a member of the ON Texas Football family, ontexasfootball.com. Thank you very much, Matthew. For just $39.95, you get 1 year subscription to ON Texas Football. Become an OTFOG by simply using that promo code OTFOG. You can become a member of the ON Texas Football family over at ontexasfootball.com. All right. So for Jerry and for Matthew, I'm lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.